Okay, so this is I'm going to call this a self-care staffing. So my producer said I should write a script so that I might not say so much. You see how that's going already. My name is Lou Pascal. I am a school social worker in Manchester City Schools. And I just have been incredibly inspired by all of the school personnel who are putting their gifts and talents to work in really creative ways during the time that all our schools are shut down for the coronavirus. And some examples would be Nerdy School Social Worker is doing SEL lessons every single day. I thought that was awesome. So shout out to her. There's a PE coach, Coach Wood in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that's doing daily PE lessons. I feel like there's probably things in every area of what usually goes on in schools that is going on online right now, and I just think it's awesome. So I kind of asked myself what I could contribute, and I have been studying self-care for a long time. Shout out to Stephanie Bennett, who was my coworker when I was at Rutherford County Schools, and we are self-care sidekicks. She has been on the self-care journey with me since the beginning of when we really started looking at this. So a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, she probably discovered, or we discovered together. So anyway, so self-care has become a big movement in the past few years, just in the world, but also it's a very, very important concept in school social work. So I thought I could talk about some of those things in a time when it's really important for all of us to be taking care of ourselves. So a few things just before I get started. Manchester City Schools, that's where I work, but they don't endorse any of the things that I'm about to say. These are just things that I think might be helpful for you or your family. I don't endorse every single thing. I'm going to mention a lot of people to you. I don't endorse every single thing that those people say, do, whatever. I'm just giving you some things that have been helpful to me. I'm a social worker. Some of this, especially when you get into self-care, people kind of can feel like it's too, woo-woo or whatever. I'll tell you, like a preacher that was in our church said to us years ago, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Take what you like, leave the rest. Doesn't matter. I do not have any sponsors. Not that I would not welcome some sponsors, but there are no. None of this is an ad. These are just, again, things that I think are good, and I think you might find helpful or enjoyable too. This is not medical, legal, accounting, or any other type of professional advice. When I started thinking about this, I thought about school people, so teachers, school personnel, students, families, but feel free to share it with people all over the world that you think could benefit. It's fine. Okay. Lastly, I am a perfectionist, and I have not given myself the 13 years that I normally would to obsess over every angle of this. But I got on my formal work sweatshirt, and I got my serious glasses on, and I've watched Brene Brown's TED Talk in preparation for the vulnerability hangover I'm probably going to have when this is over. And so I'm good. As my friend Kristen says, done is better than perfect. So let's do this. Okay. So self-care. When we're talking about self-care, a lot of the times we're trying to address burnout. There's a lot of related terms. So burnout, compassion fatigue, secondary traumatic stress, vicarious trauma. Those are all things that social workers and school social workers can encounter in our work because we work with some really serious issues. We see some really serious things. We see some really hard things. So someone commented earlier today about a definition for self-care. Here's my definition of self-care. Life is really hard. It was hard before coronavirus. And we are going to feel stress, and we're going to cope with it somehow. So my definition of self-care is we can either cope with it in healthy or unhealthy ways. That's my definition. So, just thinking about the coronavirus, I'm big on quotes, and a particular quote came to my mind, and the quote was Glennon Doyle Melton, and she said, I've decided to stop making life harder by pretending it's not hard. So I think that's my big message for today, is that this is hard. We're making it harder on ourselves by pretending it's not hard. My best self-care suggestion for you right now would just be to feel what you feel and to practice acceptance. So y'all should have known you weren't going to be talking with a social worker or a school social worker very long before the feelings word came up, the F word. So I just would encourage you to feel what you're feeling. If you're disappointed because something got canceled, if you're worried about any number of economic impacts, I would not encourage you to obsess about that, but I would have encouraged you to just say, this is what I'm feeling to yourself. This is what I'm feeling, and just kind of sit in that, and just acknowledge that. So, some of my beliefs about self-care, I think that self-care is very individual. So what helps you specifically calm yourself? So one of the things that I've been thinking about is extroversion versus introversion. And we could talk about that for a long time. But I'll just keep it real simple right here by saying, extroverts, it's not about shyness or not shyness. It's about how you get your energy. Do you get your energy by being with people and a lot of external stimulation, or do you get your energy by being more by yourself, less stimulation, and that kind of helps you charge up to do the things that you need to do in the future? So if you're an extrovert in this moment of social distancing and everybody stay home and all that kind of stuff, the question is, how can you get your needs for interaction met and keep yourself safe during this time? So what are some creative ways that you can get your needs for interaction met? So is it talking on the phone with people? Is it video chats? Is it for gamers? Is it getting online with your buddies and, playing a game and talking and all that kind of stuff? There are definitely ways for extroverts to get their needs for stimulation met during this time, but that's a real thing. That is a real thing. So that's one of my beliefs about self-care. It's very individual. Self-care is not about blame. It's not like, maybe you wouldn't feel this way if you took better care of yourself. That's not what this is about. It is not one more thing to do. We all have 817 tasks on our list, and this is not 818. I don't want it to be another thing on your list. You do this because you are important. One of the things that's always said about self-care is, well, it's like a mask on the plane, and you put your mask on before you put somebody else's mask on. And that's true. We definitely will give other people better quality care if we're taking care of ourselves. That's true. My issue with that is, it's worth doing self-care because you are worth it. You are a priority. So other people getting better care from you, that's a byproduct. But I'm here to tell you, every single one of you that are watching this, you are worth self-care. You are important. It is important for you to take care of yourself for you. I'm happy everybody else is going to benefit from it, but I think that's an emphasis that needs to be put on this, is it is a good idea if you're the only one that benefits from it. So those are kind of some of my beliefs about self-care. So I'm kind of calling this like a self-care staffing. And I'm going to have to get a little bit closer to see if y'all say anything. But I see that we have a couple people checked in. So I would like to do a self-care check-in. So my question to you is, what are you doing right now during these times that are, so intense? What is saving your life right now? What is one thing that you're doing, watching, hearing, not doing that is really, really helpful for you for self-care right now? So I'm going to sneak up on here and see if I can see anything. So I see Susie Willis. Hey there, Miss Susie. I see Susan Rogers. Hey, Miss Susan. I see Miss Tormelian. I don't know what's going on with the feed, Miss Susan. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be better later. But y'all think about that if you want to answer. If not, you can just think about it and think about it to yourself. So what's one thing that's saving your life right now? And if you can't think of something, maybe that's a starting place. What's one little thing I could be doing for myself right now that would be, that would help me to be calm? And that's what a lot of this is about, especially people who work with kids. Number one, and we're in a school setting and things can get, intense. There's a lot of feelings. Kids have feelings, staff members have feelings, and so sometimes we have conflict, or we just have people who come in who have other things on their minds because life is life, and they're not able to give their best because they're so tore up about whatever's going on out there. So that's a lot of what self-care is like calming yourself. How can you down-regulate yourself? How can you, some of the things that I've read have talked about your lizard brain and your mammalian brain. So your lizard brain is your really like primal, first instinct, flight or fight or flee brain. Your mammalian brain is, and I've also heard it called downstairs and upstairs brain. So your downstairs, your lizard brain, your upstairs, your mammalian brain. So your upstairs mammalian brain is where you're able to calm yourself, down-regulate yourself, and figure out what is the best thing, the most beneficial thing for you to do in this moment. So that's why I'm super passionate about this for adults and for school people, is because we can, number one, teach students to down-regulate themselves and help them do things that are more beneficial for themselves instead of self-defeating responses. And we can teach them that by doing it ourselves. So we've got to learn how to do it. How do we calm ourselves? Okay. So what's one thing that's saving your life right now? So one thing that is saving my life right now is planning. I'm a huge planner. The planner that I use, the written planner, I'm a written paper planner person now. The planner that I use is going on sale on March 24th. Super pumped. Going to be first in line digitally online to get my next one because I love it so much. Finally found one that I really liked. So I'm a big planner. I'm just bent that way. So, a couple of quotes on that. President Eisenhower was also a general before he was president. So he did a lot of planning. And he said, and this is one of my favorite quotes, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Okay? So plans, like your specific plan, your ABC, not really worth that much because something like coronavirus might happen. But having planned, having thought of some things you might do or not do in the midst of an emergency is very, very valuable at this point. Okay? So plans are worthless, but planning is everything. So I really like that. Another one, this was actually my mom that said this several years ago. She said this like 3 years ago. She said, I feel like my life is a little on hold right now. And I'm using that time to plan and write down the things I want to do when it isn't anymore. I felt that same way at other times in my life too. And I think my life has turned out as well as it has because I had that planning time. And I just thought that was really smart and a really great way to look at kind of feeling on hold, or she didn't say in a rut, but sometimes you can feel like you're in a rut. And I thought that was a really great way to look at it, is that's a time to be planning what you can do when things change. When things open up for you a little bit, if you've done a little bit of planning, well, what would I like to do when I have more money? Or what would I like to do when I have more control of my own time? then you've already got those ready-made plans and ideas of what you want to be doing. Okay, so I thought that was great. That was my mom, Margaret Scott. So what can you be planning? For myself, I think I'm got about 10 more work days that I'm not going into the office. So I'm thinking about books to read. Are there some thank you notes you can write to people? I'm a huge thank you note writer, fan, love it. If you're behind on your thank you notes, can you write somebody some thank you notes? Craft projects, I've got one in mind right now that I'm thinking about doing. Do you have any professional goals or personal growth goals? And I know for school people, I'm not saying you should be working. If if your people have said we're closed, we're not doing anything right now, you got to do what goes along with what you've been told to do. But I know I have some things that I just haven't been able to move forward because things have been so hectic. I have both professional goals and personal growth goals that I'm thinking about during this time, that it would be like nice to move the ball forward on those kinds of things. So, another thing I heard the other day was a recommendation was to feather your nest. So think about like things around your house. Like if there are little things that are annoying you around your house, like what could you do to kind of solve that? Like I'll give you an example. I use a tablespoon and I think a half teaspoon every morning, like to put creamer in my coffee and that kind of thing. And I have several, but when the dishwasher's full, I'm like scrounging around in the morning time looking for my tablespoon and my teaspoon. So I got online and I ordered 2 more sets of each of them. That wasn't any kind of big deal. They were like $3 a piece or something. But now I have extras, and I've also separated. This is an organizational nerd tip for you right there. I have also separated the measuring spoons that I use a whole lot. I'm keeping those together. And then I took one of those rings to put the ones I don't use that much. So they're not in there kind of frustrating me when I'm only looking for like a tablespoon and a half teaspoon. Okay. So like what are some little things like that you could be doing when you have some time on your hands and you can't go anywhere, that might increase your happiness just a small amount, or increase your ability to calm yourself just a small amount. So think about those things. When I said that I was going to be doing this, I asked people if there was things that they would like me to address, and I'm planning on doing this every day, so we'll see what happens. But one of my buddies, Kathy Crooks, mentioned mindfulness meditation, and when I've talked with her about mindfulness before, I really liked her definition of it, which was just being present in the moment. When we talked earlier about feeling our feelings and just being present with what is, and maybe I feel worried, but what is going on in this moment. And I think too, planning, if you're planning right now, I think that's a way of having gratitude. Like I have gratitude that I have this time on my hands. So what am I going to do with it? And gratitude is another helpful way to, is another really good suggestion for self-care. So things I'm going to leave with you today. I'm going to put in the comments, my buddy Stephanie, when I told her I was going to do this, she said something about laughter and how important laughter is in self-care. So there's a YouTube video that makes me laugh all the time, and I checked just to be sure it was still there, and I'm going to put it in the comments if I can. If not, I'll find another way to post it. But if you just Google on YouTube, if I can't post it, if you Google on YouTube, worry about yourself. It's this little girl, and she's trying to buckle herself into the car seat, and her dad really wants to help her, and he just keeps saying, she just keeps saying, worry about yourself, and I think it's hysterical. And it's kind of a twofer, because if you're a school social work person, that is a great tool to show kids who have problems minding their own business and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Just show them that worry about yourself video. So that was for laughter. Music, the song that I'm thinking about right now is Curtis Mayfield, It's Alright. There are probably tons of people on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram doing music classes, and it's not this girl, so I'm not going to sing it to you. But the part where he says, it's alright, have a good time, I'm just thinking what you need to mean by have a good time is wash your hands and stay a safe distance from people. one thing that I really want you guys to hear me say, there is a national disaster distress line. This is a hotline you can call into. And it is a 24/7, 365 national hotline dedicated to providing immediate crisis counseling for people who are experiencing emotional distress due to any disaster. And they have specifically mentioned coronavirus. So if you are having emotional distress over coronavirus and you need to talk to somebody, you can call this hotline. So it's the National Disaster Distress Hotline. I'm going to say the number a couple times. 1-800-985-5990. 1-800-985-5990. Let me see if you guys put any comments on. I can't really scroll up. I don't know. But think about that. Think about what's saving your life or a little thing that you could do that would help you feel better. I do have some ideas for future videos, but if you guys like this and you want to see me talk about other things, I would love your suggestions in the comments. And that's all I got for today. So I'll probably see you tomorrow with some more talk about self-care. You guys take care of yourselves. Thanks. See ya. Bye.